Peace, Roundnet homies. This is Eli, one half of White Lotus Roundnet, and today I got something really interesting to share with you. So, a couple weeks ago, I dropped a defense and a hitting tutorial, and some people were asking on more specifics on how to implement those ideas into practice and how to train both defense and hitting. And it's been super fun being in Bonn, practicing with the team here. And on Sundays, we have a more advanced training where the people who have been playing for a while get together and we sort of coach each other and alternate who's coaching every week. So last week, I had the chance to be the coach and decided to ask the team what types of things they wanted to train. And they said both hitting and defense were things they wanted to work on. So it was a great opportunity to just film the whole thing, film through a whole practice of how I would teach these exact skill sets. And we got into a lot of really cool discussions about how to hit better, how to play a bit better defense, and all of that. So what I'm going to do here is just play that training for you, and you can check it out and implement these ideas into your own training. I talk a bit about the meta theory on why I like to train the way I do and what types of things I think are most helpful when it comes to learning new skills. So yeah, we're going to dive into all that. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I hope you enjoy. Peace, and I'll see you in there.
I sent you guys messages asking if we wanted to learn advanced hitting or advanced defense or set-in. Everyone was about advanced hitting and advanced defense. I decided that we'll split the practice in half, doing a good amount of hitting and then transitioning into defense where we're playing against the hitting that we just learned. So then you get a chance to actively put the new hits into play and play defense. So there's 3 parts that we're going to go through. First, we're going to talk about the fastest way to level up all of your Roundnet skills. So like, I want to focus on a little bit of meta theory first. We say meta theory like the theory of how to practice better, because I think that is really key in the style that I teach and what I think would make it easier for everyone to like do it together. So I want to do meta theory first. And the second part is going to be how to hit like a pro and never get touched. So we're going to talk about flicks and how to really bring in power and like super big amounts of ease into your hit. And the last one is going to be the one trick to get so good at defense that every hitter that gets up against you is going to be nervous and be like, what am I supposed to do? So we got 3 big promises on the agenda. So when I first started playing Roundnet, it was because I was like in college, wanted to meet new people and wanted to have like a sport to play. So I was there in college kind of like, I don't really know how to meet people or have like this outlet to connect with people. And then I found Roundnet and it looked like everyone else was having like a ton of fun. So I was like, oh my gosh, I want to join that. I want to play. But then right when I wanted to get better, because I started to see people who were good around me, right when I wanted to get better, everyone would like tell me 100 tips. It'd be like, I'd be like, how do I hit better? And they'd be like, you want to raise your elbow and like step and move your shoulders. And then I would be like in game thinking about all of that. And I couldn't like move because I would just get so stuck in whatever their thoughts were. So it was really annoying because then I'd be like trying to have fun and I would feel like I don't know how to do it. I'm like awkward, don't know how to play. So I'd get very stressed. And then I got uninspired. I didn't want to play anymore. But then the pandemic hit. And that's when I moved in with Mitch. And together, we just started playing for fun. And it was like coming back to the part of Roundnet that I loved, which was like connecting with someone and playing. But I also started getting way better, way faster. And we started to get way better, way faster because we had this realization one time when we were out playing one-on-one, we had music going. And all of a sudden, we were like, yo, this feels more like a dance than like a sport. Like we're like, moving in the same way and we're moving around the net and around this ball and it's like this really cool pattern. And once I started to think about the game like a dance, all of the like things that I kept, what like the tips people were giving me, like move your feet, make sure that you're like ready to go back, make sure that you raise your elbow, make sure that you like bring all your power through. All of that just comes when I was thinking dance. Because when you're in a dance, you're much more like on your toes. You need to be ready to shift. You need to be smooth. You need to be relaxed. You need to pay attention. You need to be having fun because dancing is fun. So then I would switch into that mindset and all of a sudden, all the little tips became one big like epiphany of like, oh, if I just remember to dance and put myself into that state of being, then playing all the footwork and stuff works itself out. So that's how I like to teach Roundnet too is like, what's the epiphany like dance that if you remember that one thing when you're playing, you'll automatically level up. So because you're just thinking about dance, or another one is look at the ball. It's like a fundamental at that level where no matter what you're doing, if you do that one epiphany, all of the rest of your game is going to get better. Like the underlying philosophy there is instead of trying to learn all the tips, learn the meta tip, learn the epiphany, and then play based on that epiphany and just let that move your body. So we're gonna start off with this tip of dance. We're gonna play Pepper to start, one on each net. But then what I want is to have music, because we have 9 of us. I wanna have music going. We're gonna do a minute and a half, and then you're gonna switch partners. One person's gonna rotate off, they pick the next song. Then the next play is to that song. And we're gonna, it's not, you don't have to like dance, you have to play and just let the music inspire how you move. And ideally when you go pick a new song, pick music that you like to dance to. Like you could also be funny and be like, let's do military music or something, but that's, actually no, fuck it. If you want to do that, because that'll be funny. But yeah, let's set up 4 nets. I'll start picking the first song and then we're gonna pepper, yeah.
Hustle, ich bin hier. Ja, absolut. Ja, nochmal. Ja, komm, ja. Nochmal! Ja, ja, komm. Again.
Okay. How to hit like a pro and never get touched. So when I first started playing Roundnet, there was no hit zone. So I was really good at hitting because the ball would come here and I would wind up both my arms and swing like that and hit with one hand. So it'd be like, and you have no chance of stopping that. And then the no hit zone got introduced and I sucked at hitting because I couldn't do the only thing that I was doing to get the ball away from people. Because think about when I'm doing this, the thing that I'm doing is they don't know where I'm gonna go. So when they have literally zero idea where I can go, it immediately means that I don't need to hit the ball hard, I just need to put it where they're not. Then a no hit zone arrived, and I was still trying to put the ball where they're not, but I didn't have the power to hit it past them or shoot through gaps because I was so reliant on how do I fake someone out. So then I was bad. I would hit the ball into the net and I would just get picked up the whole time. And I was like, how am I supposed to hit around these people? It feels like wherever I turn my body, I'm always hitting into them and I'm not even able to like bring the power that I want into my hit because it was all gone because it was all driven from this. So that sucked. But then I went to my first tournament, watched pros play on no hit zone, and they were like ripping the ball. It was going so fast and so low and so hard. I was like, how do you do that? But the really crazy thing to me was the fact that they didn't look like they were trying. They would just like, and the ball would zip away. And I was like, I'm doing the exact same thing right here, going like this, and the ball does that. How are they doing pretty much the same motion, but they make it look so much easier, and the ball shoots way lower, way faster. So I was like, okay, I need to learn that. And that, because I had already had this dancing realization that like I need to find the epiphany and just think about that one thing. So I was like, what is it that each of these people are doing that's like the epiphany that if I just focus on that, I'll be able to do what all of them are doing. And that's when I came to the realization that everyone was doing something different here. It was in this zone where all the power was coming from. Because in my hit, I would swing like this, right? I would like release my arm out, but all of a sudden they were doing this, turning their body and having this really low contact to the ball. And it was like their whole arm was moving as like, or their whole body was moving as like one fluid whip into the ball. And that's why it looked so smooth and also so powerful. So I called it the snap. The whip is also good though. The whip or the snap, or the whippersnapper. So we're trying to learn this snap, right? So I was trying to figure it out. And what I was noticing is that the thing that needs to be done is that it's about changing how you load your power. Because when you're hitting like this, you load a lot of your power from your upper body, torquing and turning. When you're doing a whip motion, it literally comes through like your entire body to the point where all you need to do is that. So like if I just do this whip motion without like winding up or anything, I can literally hit that hard. And it's just from letting this come through me. Rather than if I like try to do this without the whip motion, I hit less hard with way more effort because I needed to turn my whole body into it. So what we're going to do is focus on that. And the best way, I think, to start to learn this is to just feel into it. So the best thing to do is hit against the wall. Since we don't have enough nets to hit against the wall, actually what we can do is we can have 4 people hit against the wall and then with a net, and then the other 5 people are going to hit against a wall without a net. So we're just going to go here like that. And all we're going to do is the one hit that we're trying to do at the time, which is going to be, we're going to start open, then we're going to do push, then we're going to do backhand. And we're just going to do quick rounds for each. So it's going to stay really snappy. Ha, get it? But we need to purely focus on feeling inside of your body that you're getting to a point where it feels effortless, but the ball is moving really fast. That's how you know you're doing the snap right. Your arm feels completely effortless. Your body feels like it's easier to hit than it's ever been, but you're getting way more motion out of the ball. And there are people in here who can already snap really well. Like Ben is a great example of he'll be here and then all of a sudden the ball will like shoot way back there. So if you're Ben, obviously this drill isn't going to do as much, but you can still focus on how can I get even less show? How do I pull just as much energy without like even needing to put in less and less effort? Oh, that's a snap. I'll respond to those few points in English. Cool. So first point was Anna saying that the push feels difficult. Tina and I were just talking about the same thing. And I think that this is, everyone who plays against me knows that push is like the shot I do. So this was the thing that I had to figure out first, was like, how do I get power into a push well? And what I learned, when you see me hit a push, if the net is here, what I notice with a lot of people when they do a push is that they plant their feet like this and then swing like that through. So they're like trying to get their power from this centered stance and pull it out like that. What I've learned to do is that instead of coming from a centered stance, I turn myself so that I can now turn my shoulders into this same whip kind of thing, where a whip can move all the way through my body and out through my shoulders. So I find that that's really big, at least that's worked for me. For the push is, see if you're standing straight on from the other player or where the set is coming from, and then see if you can turn yourself so all of a sudden you're here. The great thing about this too, you may think, oh, then it gives away that you're gonna hit the push, right? Because you just turned and did that, but I can just as easily hit pull from that position. So it's like, it's all about just getting yourself into a position where now the whole whip can move up through this whole torque that you have. So that's something to try for that. And again, it's not about then doing it super hard. It's about allowing that motion to just be smooth until the energy comes through. Then Daniel said the next point of that he finds that it's all about the wrist. Totally is all about this last motion, and that is what makes it almost the most like whip or snap like, is because this motion comes all the way from, my legs need to be grounded. If I try to jump and hit, I have no power, right? So this whip needs to come from the ground. It pulls through everything, and then as I'm moving here, my hand is coming back and the whip is going all the way out to like these fingers. So the whip goes all the way through, I'm loaded, and then I snap through at the last second. And yeah, that's also where you can make it look like you're not putting a lot of power in, but it's literally coming through and charging out. Whereas if I tried to like not whip, I'd go like that. And the last point was that backhand, it's easier.
Backhand move.
Yeah, I think another really good thing to take inspiration from with our backhands is that backhands can feel a lot easier to follow through properly, because you go like this, and then when you hit, you get to do that motion that just feels very natural. It's really hard to backhand and stop yourself because it's just like this nice flow. If you take that principle into the whip as well, it's like you want to whip, but then you don't want to just stop the whip where it's at. You allow the whip to then follow through. And I think that with the backhand, that's a great example. And you said how the ball stays flatter too, totally because of your follow through. Because if I try to hit like when I'm stopping here, chances are much higher that I'm gonna push the ball down into the net or anything like that. So once I learned to actually follow through, that was a great example, follow through, the ball can stay a lot flatter, also because it applies topspin and stuff. So great, now we're gonna do left hand open. Again, think about all the things we just did, especially in the push and stuff that you can try just opening your body and just try. The thing I'm trying to say too is that the epiphanies, like the snap or the dance, if you learn these epiphanies, then you can have the embodied experience for yourself of what works for you. And I think that's really important, is that you figure out what works for your body. And that's why I'm saying something like, oh, do a snap. And there are all these little tips that work for my body, but everyone's gonna have a different mobility, different amounts, different arm lengths, different heights compared to the net. So you need to figure out what works for you. So that's why I'm saying snap, and then like think with it and figure out what works and just play. Good now. Bernie was showing me that when he was hitting, he was like trying to not put any shoulder motion or like motion of the whole body into it. We're not trying to take all of your motion out of your body. That's not what we want to do. What we're trying to do is just focus on this moment here, because in this one moment, you can draw like 70% of energy without needing to do other things. So it's about creating a more efficient swing that just feels better and works more consistently. So that's why then I told Bernie, try just really subtly feeling from like all the way down your feet up through your core. Daniel also made a really good point that you want to use your core in this. So it's really about bringing the power all the way up and through into a slight rotation, but then just allowing it to almost like fall down onto the net. And that's what's gonna create this motion like that, where you're just whipping at the end. And then he started to do that and immediately like took out a big part of motion and was hitting almost as hard, which is really cool. Because then you see like, oh, this whole motion actually didn't do as much as this one part here. But then you want to bring it back in. So then like once you figure out that whip, then you can start charging it up again. And those are like the really hard players to defend, can laser the ball with their whole body and the whip. Anna also brought up the good point that when she'll push, she'll sometimes like open her body, like what I was talking about, use the shoulders to bring it into it, hit a push, but then she feels like it's actually an open now, like she's hitting a different shot than a push. And this is where I want you to not think about shots in terms of what your body does, think about how it moves on the net. The point of just saying the word push means that I'm taking this angle, because I could always do this exact swing and take it from pull to push to backspin drop, whatever. And it's all just using that same swing, which is what we want to learn. We just want to learn the fundamental of the swing, and then we can dance our body wherever we need to and allow it to like do the rest of the work. So I think that helps a lot, to think about it more as it's just a swing. If I learn the basics of how to swing right, I'm just placing the ball where they aren't. Okay, so we'll do it like this. We now understand the whip part of things and just starting to learn that, starting to figure that out. Now what we want to do is bring that into a actual hitting situation. So we're gonna do, I think we have time for 2 more drills. First we're gonna do just a hit in with a whip, and then we're gonna add a defender in. So the first drill will be, Daniel, if you want to come here to hit in. I have a ball. I'm just throwing to Daniel and I'm setting you. You're just doing the open whip, and then I'm gonna come here, push whip. I'm gonna come here, backhand whip, and then you're gonna switch hands, do it like this. But we're gonna go super fast, just like 5 balls on each hit, okay? Du musst das gleiche 5 Mal. Ja, genau. Ja. Schön. Und dann, ja, also wir machen das jetzt 4 Netze, 5 Mal open, so 5 opens, 5 push, 5 flick, or 5 backhand. and then we'll move right into putting a defender into it. But right now, all we're trying to do is have this motion of seeing the ball come in, adjust your body, and then let it whip. Again, better to take as much power out of it as possible and generate it as effortlessly as possible. That's what you should be focused on. Sure. We also just got a delivery of new Worlds balls from Spike Ball, so new Worlds balls, Pro balls. If you look at this is the old Pro ball. The main differences are that you have like a bit deeper of a nub here next to the change in color. Got a bit deeper of a nub on this one, and then really it's just a stylistic design change that this ball's instead of, it's got like the new updated Spike Ball logo that's a bit bigger and such. This one's a bit smaller. In terms of plastic, which is the real thing people care about, in terms of the feel, this is actually the nicest one I've picked up so far. A few of them, quite honestly, feel like very hard. It could definitely be that with some playing, they're gonna soften up a lot, which I think they probably will, at least a decent amount, because that happened with these balls over time as well. So hopefully it softens up a little bit, but all in all, feels very similar to the old Pro balls with a bit more style. Obviously looks really nice. I also got Premier Spike big balls, which we might be trying soon. And I also know in general that Spike Ball as a company can get some hate at times, and honestly they've gotten some hate from me at times because just like the inconsistencies in the balls and the inconsistency in the equipment and how the net would move, and we had all these complaints. And obviously Premier Spike is doing a great job of leveling up and providing some more like competition and the reason for Spike Ball to have to push. But I also think for Spike Ball, we all need to be forever grateful because they were people who first brought this out on a mass scale. And of course, before being thankful to Spike Ball, we need to be thankful to the actual creator of the sport, who's now teaming up with Premier Spike on creating some new equipment there. So I think that a really important thing is for us as a Roundnet community as a whole to start uplifting each other, no matter what company we're from. Understand that like in the biggest sports in the world, multiple companies are doing really, really well. And it's about coming together and having healthy competition so that we actually start building the best equipment possible and start up-leveling our game. Another reason why it's really important to consider all the people who are innovating and making more stuff in this sport. So Revol, I highly, highly, highly recommend you check it out if you get the chance, because that's another idea that's just taking this whole sport into a whole new level, just because he's bringing in new ideas and new possibilities for the sport. I think it's awesome. I think Revol has a lot of really good things about it. But even if you hate Revol, there are things that you can take from Revol and look at in Revol and implement into the other sports, as the other companies or other ideas as we move further in the sport. And I think it's really important that it doesn't become like, oh, it's Revol versus Spike Ball versus Premier Spike. Instead, it's we're all trying to make Roundnet the best possible sport it can be. Let's focus on how we do that and how we also can then make room for everyone at the table, thank the person who invented the sport, and also compensate the person who invented the sport, and make sure that we're doing the right things in terms of how this is moving forward. So it's about the game, it's about the love of the game, and it's about having fun. So glad that Spike Ball has done everything they've done, and this ball can get better. This sport can get better. So it looked really good. I feel like a lot of people were getting a really nice like snap in, but also learning how to follow through some. And again, the encouragement that I have is just remember that you can go back to this idea of snap and just try to feel that in your body for yourself. That's what matters, is that you're getting it on your own inside of yourself. So in Roundnet, this like snap started to happen, and all I cared about was playing defense because defense led to rallies. And then I got to a level where I was playing against people who had the snap, and defense became literally impossible. So I was like, all right, this sucks, because now these people can hit so hard so fast, and because of the wrist, they're able to switch directions right at the end. So now on defense, we're going to flip the side, and we're going to start working on something that I saw pros then doing at that time, which the best pro was named Buddy Hammond at defense. Pretty undebatable if you've seen him play. And what I noticed that he was doing, because again, I started to look for like, okay, so what's the snap of defense? And what I noticed was that he was doing what I was calling the slide, because he would come in, he would have his body in a, again, we got to do all the work before in defense that we talked about over the last weeks, that you got to get to your position early, be there, be ready, take away the extreme. But once he's there, the thing that he was doing so much differently than other people is that he would take away that strong, get wide, watch what they were doing, watch how their arm was moving, so he would see what their wrist is doing at the end, and then move himself into that position. But what was so genius was that instead of moving like most of us try to move, which is like this, he was placing that foot and moving his weight underneath, where like, look how much of a different shot I can take away just by shifting my weight. But the really important thing is that then you are able to move for a soft touch. So you cannot slide and put all your weight here and expect that you're going to be able to get away, because you're just going to have all your weight in one point. So what you need to find is, where is the balance point that I can slide side to side, but then immediately I can still go. And that's where we kind of bring together the dance mentality from all of this, because just like a dancer, you need to be able to slide, but also then shift your way back, do whatever you're doing. And that all comes from balance and being balanced with your center of gravity. So what we're going to do right now is have 3 people on a net. We have 9 of us, so it's perfect. 3 people on a net. Ben, can you come here? I'm the hitter. I'm going to be practicing just the whip. That's my focus. So I get to have fun, do the whip, hit as effortlessly as I can. Again, I'm hitting open. I think we'll just do open right now. So open righty. What you're going to do, Ben, is stand like you're ready for my righty pull. And then I'm just hitting open. So he needs to learn, I took strong away, now I'm sliding in. And his whole mission is to be at my strong spot, and then with like the dancing footwork and move into a slide where he can then still shoot up and move. So ideally, if you get a touch, which you won't because I'm going to hit it past you. If you get a touch, you should be ready to go straight into soft touch too, ideal. So we'll do that a few times. So he's going to toss it to me, and I'm going to hit. So you also get to watch the set come in like it was a normal game, and I'm just hitting open. That was sick. Okay, now signs. Yeah, exactly. So then, yeah, hopefully his partner's there. But you can see on both of those that Ben, after he slides, which is something Ben does really well, is that he's always ready to move for the soft. So.
Oh yeah. I feel. Yeah. Yeah, can you get?
Okay, so the last thing, I just want to put it all back together just as like a overview, that we have 3 kind of epiphanies that we were talking about today. And the whole point of having this like epiphany style learning is that instead of having to think about a bunch of different things, you just need to think about matching whatever that epiphany is. So if we talk about dance as one of the first things, whenever I'm playing bad, that's like the first thing I go to, because one is a change in like how my body moves, but it's also a big change in mindset, because I think thinking about it like a dance brings in much more of a creative way of looking at it, which helps me a lot and helps me have a lot more fun with it. So I think that's really good. And then the second thing we talked about was the snap. So how do you hit better? Again, we talked about that you're doing this like snap style where you're bringing it all the way through the wrist is easier for your whole body, because you're just learning how to most efficiently move the power of your body. And then also, if you learn to do it right, it can even be good for literally good for your joints and ligaments and such, because you are now learning how to just do a more like natural swing rather than having to force a bunch of tension into your body. So that's another big thing to think about. And it's good to think about the 2 stacking on top of each other too, is how do you dance into your snap? Because that's what's going to create like the whole movement. Then on defense, we just started to think about the slide a little bit. It's like the highest level defender move. So don't think, oh, why isn't this working? Like when we just did the drill, I think each of us got like 3 touches that actually went up well. But if you think about in game, you get less than that, because in game you're probably getting like 1 out of 10 where it's actually going up, because we know the game right now is really hard to play defense at. But the more you can learn this type of slide, it's just working at like the very highest level of defense. Another thing that Buddy does at like the highest level is that he'll fake a slide one way and come back. So once you're playing against a hitter who's just watching what you're doing, you really want to show them what you're taking away until they have to choose and then slide. And that's why the slide is a lot easier than a jump, because at that last second, to get your whole body like that is a lot of energy, but to just do this is very different. So yeah, that's why it's all about finding that balance point. Dance, snap, slide. So those are 3 like epiphany ideas that you can bring with you. Yeah. Cool. Okay.